this.
Probably still might not know.
Please don't panic. There's going to be some poetry here. It won't hurt. And just go on with that normal business, whatever that is. So we have a very, very strict rule, ladies and gentlemen. Forgive my using that term, but everyone is welcome at any time. All you have to do is get up. Otherwise, you have to bear the slings and arrows of outrageous poetry for the next 3 hours. That's just the first haiku. So I'll start with the first haiku, which is for my friends, the Buddhist beggars on Ben White Boulevard. It is in the classic form of 575 syllables, and it has a season reference in it and has no title. It was published in the Oscar American Statesman 12 years ago, since they did not publish poetry. Okay. Count the syllables, please, in the first line. Man stands by Ben White. Amen. Thank you very much. Holding sign. Employed. Happy. Traffic snarls. Confused. Okay. Any poem, apart from that first one, that you hear, you can also take home and burn at your leisure, because we have free poetry burning classes, but we practice, we preach, to keep us warm in winter. We burn our own poetry, and then our friends stick the poetry. Look, you may have noticed William Blake. We took him from the grave, and now let's put him on the wall right there to wake us all up. So she just grabbed Blake. You see, these are boxes of books of poetry. You get to keep them if you read. And if you say you've got no poetry in my little phone, you just take it from the dead. Steal from the dead, we all do. So here's my first one, which is a free poem, because it's the best price. Music? This one's about the weather. I don't know if you noticed, we've got some weather. Well, we haven't any more. It's nice. So it's our dated poem, but here it goes. Polar vortex, which incidentally is the theme for the next gathering of the Temple Poets at Belton Library, which is on the second Thursday of each month. They have a theme, and the theme for next month is this poem, Polar vortex. Polar vortex slips down the womb of Midwest. We have not seen such penetration since grandfather memories harvested. Dust Bowl depression, black and white, grey and ice, freeze and chill. Even the core of your heart stops. Niagara Falls, not. Lake Michigan, ice rink. Still, polar swimmers dunk and freeze. Still, children lick frozen poles. Still, cars weave and spill their contents. Amtrak and frozen planes. Roads, no-go zones, stay inside. Europe, long ago, ice age. Little New America barely remembers yesterday. When sun returns, this will become a movie. Documentary? No. More human interest independent feature, starring no one in particular. After all, we all froze to the bone. Who wants it? Free poem. Told you it was out of date. Weather changes, no one cares. It's all sunny now. Don't remember the past, it was yesterday. Okay. Here's another one then, to see if these are all fresh in the last day or so, because otherwise we talk about the past, and the past has got nothing to offer it, I tell you. Okay, this is a half a poem because I lost the last few lines, so you have to guess or make them up. And remember, at any time, if you have any poems, all you do is approach the mic and get me off. It's all it's easy. It's easy. I just sit down. I get to watch. I stole this from Shakespeare, I think, or the Bible. I really like stealing from those two. Once I had a really great poem, and it went like this: if not now, when? If not us, who? And I thought, that's so good, Thom. That's the best poem you've ever written. Someone told me it was stolen from the Torah. Okay, there you go. Well, steal from the best, you know. Pick the best, you know. Oscar Wilde. To err is human, to forgive divine. Who wrote that first? I stole it anyway. That was the title. Look, we're human. We make mistakes, all right? Sometimes we oscillate between hubris and victimhood. Sometimes the executioner, sometimes the chopped royal head. Sometimes Sri Lanka, sometimes Ceylon. Sometimes Cambodia, sometimes Kampuchea. Sometimes Burma, sometimes Myanmar. Cathay, Han, Queen, Kina, Serica, Sere, Sina, Tuaktia, Zongdu Bendu, Zonghua, Ren Min, Wong Pi Wa, dipped in languages, lost in translation. We gain forgiveness only when we give it, inexhaustible gift, bottomless well, deep spring. Water forgives us when we use and abuse, drought to flood like tsunami tide, seasons of love. Action means more than a name. Forgiveness releases all blame. That's a free one. Who wants it? The excitement is just palpable tonight.
We'll hop up there.
What? Well, why should it?
We have to live in a civil society. So.
Too nice.
Yeah, you gotta. If you do not stop it, he will not stop.
That's right.
You gotta stop it. And just so we're on a personal basis, Scott, that's Thom, that's Taylor, and that's Alice, that's Dad, and that's Julie.
And that's that.
And that's that. And what's in the name? Who knows? It's got to be something. Whoa, way too high.
Tell them about your website.
Oh, it comes on my website. I run our website. I actually created it. I have two initiatives right now: a website and I like that one. It's called Open Mics Austin, and it's at openmicsaustin.wordpress.com. At which point, where I record all the shows I'm going to at witness to, and then I broadcast, put them the video and the audio files on the internet. We now have over 120 something artists represented. Many of them have their own playlists. We have an archive of over 50 shows in audio and video, and I'm Dark. Hope y'all share it. Hope you can tune in sometime. It's actually really cool. What's happening in Austin right now is just really, really fun. So, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. I never do, except to sort of riff sometimes. Here we go. Oh, while he's out, the goal for the night is to get him to forget he's sick. I've been on a hiatus from the open mic scene since before Christmas. I was here on December 28th. Had to leave for the ride. So I've had lots of stuff to think about, many poetic experiences to talk about. But I just told my kids today, that's really not the best way to let your poems out. It's in one big explosion. So if we're lucky, they'll sort of ooze out tonight and maybe catch a fly for you in the amber of it. Maybe we can put, for me at least, Christmas behind. Get on to a new spring year. Yeah, one of the things that came to mind over the last 3 weeks was how this wonderful, glorious moment we all live in is so much like ice fishing. You might say, well, how in the world could a moment be like ice fishing? But think about it for a little bit. If you're all in a room with somebody or on a patio or in a coffee shop, there's something in the very center of the world, a little hole, where you've jumped down a line to see what you can pull in from a place that you do not know, nor can you see it. But there's a little tug in the moment that says, I'm down here, I'm somewhere, I'm lost in all this cold. And if you're lucky, the room's filled with warm souls. And in the background of your mind, there's a cabin to go to where the dog's curled up near the fireplace and hot cocoa's on the stove. And as we all sit here tonight, listening to something new, maybe something old, maybe something borrowed, maybe something blue. The ice is melting. And it pulls back to a lake. Maybe it could be Lake Austin, or Buchanan. And there are hippies up in the hillside, and they're doing what they like to do, and there are people down on the water in their boats doing what they like to do, and it's just a summer's day, not too far away from here. You see, it's not all supposed to come out at once, so I gotta save something for later. Join in. Let the love begin. Thanks.
See, you really can. It does happen.
This is an original, actually. It's more kind of like modern slam poetry than anything else, but I wrote it a few weeks ago, and I still kind of like it, which is weird, because I usually hate them after I write them, so here goes. 7:34 a.m. My eyelids open slowly, like garage doors to storage spaces full of trinkets and treasures from your grandma's attic. But what's behind those doors is probably more valuable to you than what's behind mine. I move slow. I stop to admire my toenail polish. I draw a heart and a dust on my TV screen, and then immediately shake the old dirt off my fingertip, because apparently carrying around particles of the past has become a turnoff. I brush my teeth and laugh at the fact that my makeup from the night before is still perfectly in place, and I whisper, huh, that must be magic. I grab my happy pills and shower to the rhythm that dances in my chest. Some people call it a heartbeat. A mechanical movement from the muscles of love, something that only exists to keep us warm and breathing, but I don't know. Sounds a hell of a lot like magic to me. I twist my hair up in a towel. I go out of my way to find mismatched socks. I think for a long time about other people's thoughts. I try on 12 different shirts with 8 different jackets and change my jeans yet again just before I leave. I make the 14-mile journey to the gates of hell, all the while going 11 miles over the 65 speed limit. As I unbuckle my seatbelt, I begin to wonder just how much magic am I going to meet today. I walk into a classroom at the mercy of a man who has more respect for his Toyota than he has for my existence.
Oh.
The same man who lost his wife because she outgrew his ignorance. And as I dance through the doorway, almost tardy, he looks at me and says, "You're lucky." But that wasn't luck, mister. That was magic. And there's a difference. His economics degree didn't land him this salary, but he has mouths to feed, so he's stuck here. And somehow he still manages to smile, and I just think that has to be magic. But I've never really been the type for rationality, and I don't care much for definitions. I don't want to know what muscles you manipulate to move your mouth. I want to know what memories pull you from your chair and up against her lips. Don't tell me how to love, teach me why. When I ask you why my hair grows so fast, don't spew some textbook crap about my nutrients and natural habits. Tell me it's because I let my freedom fertilize my follicles.
Yeah.
Tell me it's because I believe in budding romance, so it blooms right from my brain. Tell me it's because I live vicariously through it. Tell me it's magic. Because after all the scars I've carved into my skin, after all the pills just trying to kill what was inside of me, I found that blaming the tooth fairy is a hell of a lot easier than blaming yourself. But I want to be more than a mass of muscles, blood and bones and bruises. I want the galaxy in my ribcage, fairy dust in my funny bones. I want collisions on my cuticles. I want to be magic. And most of all, I think I just want someone to believe in me.
Wasn't that wonderful?
Yes.
That was really, that's the sort of stuff that we can't write. So it's really good. Other people can. Yes, magic rules. And look where you are right now. This is quite 3D dimensional artistic. This one's for your little child growing up in the future. I saw a little child and I thought, I must write a poem for a little child. So it's for big people if they want. It's called Virtual Children Who Only Read Texts. Yes. I am Instagram. I am Spotify apps. Fill in real time with digital, neurasthenia, Ritalin, dumb down, numb down, men's school massacres since Littleton, grandfather Miley. Pushy Riot free, not so WikiLeaks, even media can't save Chelsea. Edward Snowden, Nobel Peace Prize, closed down, malfeasant, NSA, advanced budgets, black budgets made accountable today. Secrecy fine by us, as long as our data is kept private. One-way Google Glass, two-way mirrors, your cell phone tells us where you are, denied GPS. Everybody spying on everybody else, then why does not the revelation be released? Why does fear of clear knowledge bad actors rehearse worse scripts for HBO and Netflix? When reality means more than TV or not TV, that is the question. Cameras on every street, drones in your own skies. Who's in charge around here, and why? Free poem, who wants it? Frightening, isn't it? So, I'm gonna turn, since I failed spectacularly to give away my own poetry, I'm gonna read the dead poets. You know, I've got 100 dead poets over there, and they have been much better, and I'm gonna give them away. But who wants to go? Otherwise,
Not just yet.
yes. We've gone up to it. Okay, wow. Fantastic. Thank you for
I think they're underground. Magic. A little magic thing I like to think about is the fact that the difference, or at least the distance between my fingers and your fingers, is not near as far as we think it is, first off. It's easy to get lost in the fact that it looks like air when really it's something solid. Like an umbilical cord, or a dragon's breath, or the fact that the whole concept of selfish is actually outgrown that. We have, that is. Next time you find yourself thinking, it's just me in this whole lonely world. First off, it ain't. Just slow way down. Tell yourself, I don't gotta be anywhere, I don't gotta do anything, I don't gotta know nothing. And you find in the back of your mind, it wasn't what you thought it was. It wasn't that you were being selfish all along. No, it's nothing about selfish. You were being elfish. I like to be elfish. I like to sit around and think that tree outside is the world tree. It's got leaves that extend over the earth from here to the horizon, and every little one of us is a part of it. I like to think that mic stand there, that mic stand there is just a connection to something higher and greater than just any of this, but all of it. My son told me, and I'll have to forgive me, my son told me, what kind of elf do you mean, Daddy? You mean one of those Tolkien kind? I told him, nah, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of those little elvish cobblers who came out and made that guy his shoes. The kind of elf that says, I'm going to walk into a bar and drop down a $100 tip for one drink. I'm going to give a man on a street corner not a bag of peanuts, but something he needs. Because that's what he wants. And I don't know much about anything that is, but that we are all here together. And there's something you can draw on that says you can take as much love as you want from me, and that's cool. Now I'm not going to attach any strings to it, and I don't want anything in return for it. This is a guitar piece here. Hang on a second. So may your nights be filled with a million rainbows. May not a single evening go by where you can't wish upon a dozen stars. May the sunshine that greets you in the morning be the happiest, smiling little face you've ever seen, because the magic of it is, ain't nothing been more true. Thanks.
You ready yet? Yes, take your time. I got plenty of poems. I got bundles of poems. I got oodles of poems. I'm rich in them. But I got a story. It's a really good story. And two of you have already got this. This is my friend. She died last year, and her lover of 30 years put this book together because he really loved her so much. And the first edition was 400, and that was for all the people who knew of Deb Bakers. And they went so fast. Well, who's Deb Bakers, you say? Well, can I give you a book so you can understand? Just give nothing else, just read. Come on, I'm trying. No, we can't throw it. Okay, we catch it? No. Fear. See, this whole world, fear. Everywhere you look, fear. But anyway, story is, first edition 400 went to all the people who knew of her. She was the one who started the book readings at Bookwoman, which is one of only 12 women's bookstores left in America. She was the one who was the editor of Borderlands Literary Journal. She was the one who did the children's anthology for the Austin National Poetry Festival. She's the one who started the thing at Twin Oaks Library called Share Your Stories, which is on the third Fridays from 1 to 3. And people just come and share their stories. That's all they do. And this is now its third edition. Okay, there was one of 400, one of 300, this is of 200. And the idea is to let people know about this person because there's no one like her. 5 people are doing the stuff she was supposed to do, or was doing, very quietly. And she was so anonymous about it. Anyway, so I tried, I failed, I'm used to it. I wrote this. Self-selecting evolutionaries. You are the one who hears the drum. You are the one attuned to moon. You rise up out of a world tribe to be among us and with us soon. You may be elder, leader, lover, follower, aware, conscious, connected, alone, or some chameleon consciousness among those who levitate above, around walls, prisons, limits, laws. Take gravity. It hangs, suspended, while you seek another way to dance among the ruins of failed philosophies, greed, austerity. You are rising like your limbs in supplication to seasons older than our sun. You may think you are just one. You are everyone. Free poem. Oh, but you've got it. I gave it to you. It's in the e-book. Justin Wade Thompson. I thought he was dead. I haven't seen him for so long. This man is a superior poet. Very, very nice. Fine musician too. You know, in Austin you got to be 94 people to earn one job. You know. Pedicab driver too still? No. You're probably rich and famous, aren't you?
I live in Lockhart.
Oh, they did that to him?
Yeah.
This place, you can't afford to live in Austin anymore. It's just like living in a valet parking zone. The Californians come in, the condominiums go up, and the ordinary people go out. Sorry, it's true. I was speaking last night, as you tend to do, with Travis County Judge. She's going to be a judge if we vote her in, Sarah Eckhart. And she was saying how on the local level you can get things done. But there's a lot of cynicism and a lot of withdrawal because no one believes you can use politics anymore because of all the bad actors amongst us. But she was extraordinary. She was so good. So this is about cynicism and bar humbug. Cynic stains his pen with ink, drawing blood. Reviewer drowns the independent baby. Movies bookmark only sells familiar names. Judge sentences himself to karma. Driver speeds to bend a Porsche. Tree must die to take each wreck. Fog-bound reasoning. Toll road mopac. Trucks crush. Gridlock. Texting. GPS. Do you know where you are? Do you know who you are? Does it matter what happened before? Will you get lost in reaction response? How much time will you devote to futures? Is there stock in clocks? Who banks time? Got some more? Some more? I'm going to keep going. He's off with the texting. I knew it. Lost to the virtual world. I got lots more. Post-solstice. Darkness moves in. Light leaves us meditating. Smiles from those jokers with bells on. Minstrels of sound, light, colour, spectrum, elixir, alchemy, combined energies. Call it ring or circle, spiral, helix. No straight lines on human bodies. Temples we are, containing consciousness, movement our charm to extend and connect. Each dot a matrix, each field a dance. You will never win this life if you do not take a chance. How about that one, eh? Magic enough? You want it? That's good. You've done your book, you've got there you go. Woohoo! I'm going to try because I'm failing so hard here to get these things out. This is a book of Zen poems. You're supposed to say, I know that, it's on the title, right? But you know that one by Leonard Cohen goes like this. First the silence, after the crickets cry. Next the silence, when even the crickets hesitate. Isn't that great? Anyway, they're all seasonal. And I just thought I'm going to read you the winter ones until someone relents and takes it away, okay? I'm getting desperate out here. I get this terrible feeling that I'm the only one on stage, and that's not right. Everyone should have their own microphone, their own PA. On 12. So, by Arthur Rimbaud, you ever heard of that guy? Not Rambo, but Rimbaud. I fear winter because it's a season of comfort. Carl Sandburg. The fog comes in on little cat's feet. It sits looking over the harbour and city on silent haunches and then moves on. By Zaria Wheel. The hair jumps across the white frost field, so smooth, so sure, a summer river. By Satsume Suzuki. What is your original nature, snowman? By Sir Giorgio Cabroni. I won't even take the lantern. There the dark so dark, there's no obscurity. By Kathleen Rain. What does this day bestow? Beauty of sparse snow, whose wet flakes touch the soil then vanish. By Emily Dickinson. Winter under cultivation is as arable as spring. Did you know that all her poems can be done to the Star Spangled Banner? Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. It's true, try it sometime. If you've got another lifetime. And by Frederick Huddle. You ready? I've been waiting. Just the way Thompson is. I'm not used to people listening. I'm expecting. I'm used to them texting. Okay, sure. But this is one of my favourites, by Frederick Hölderlin. Then and now. In younger days, I was happy in the morning, wept in the evening. Now that I am older, I begin my day in doubt, but its end is holy to me and serene. Isn't that beautiful? That's really got my favorite. Another one by him. Like a day of rest is the end of the year, like a question's tone that seeks completion. Ted Hughes, the grump, married to Sylvia Plath. Made her kill herself. What a grump. Did you know that Ted Hughes' second wife killed herself too? Doesn't get much publicity. Wasn't a famous poet, but did kill herself. What does that say about Ted Hughes? Okay. Crow Colour by Ted Hughes. Crow was so much blacker than the moon's shadow, he had stars. He was as much blacker than any Negro's and Negro's eye pupil, even like the sun blacker than any blindness. Oh, Leonard Cohen. Hey, here we go. Dark at 4 o'clock. It gets dark at 4 o'clock now. The windshield is filled with night and cold, the motor running for the heater's sake. We finally forgive ourselves and touch each other between the legs. At last I can feel the element of welcome in our kisses. Okay. Justin Wade Thompson, at last.
And when he closed his eyes, he could see 2 razor-thin streaks of blue light, like some faint electric static or distortion. And he felt the blood coursing through the vessels on his brow like an echo of his heartbeat. He listened closely to the soft engine of a distant train sound off somewhere in the cold night, and nothing else made any sound or sense. He thought to open a window, but he feared that the damn thing would erupt in a roar like a gunshot or tornado and snatch him up, hurling him into the night. He knew somehow the light and sounds were just a tinge of madness, but he had not felt it in so long that he welcomed it like a visiting stranger and felt a warmth on his side of the bed that engulfed him and made his heart sweat like an orange being pressed in a vice.
Wow, that's really good. You? Thank you.
Not too many of those.
No, it's been a while. Got to tell you, that poet there, once upon a time, ladies and gentlemen, there used to be what 2 4-letter words called Rutamaya. And that man was the spirit of Rutamaya. He had poetry, whoosh! It would gush, he would stand up and whoa, dance the words out there. But there is no Rutamaya anymore. And soon there will be no Austin to talk about. There'll just be, do you remember Austin? Wow, in the 60s or the 70s? No, the 2014s. Before they took all the people away and replaced them with robo-clones from Silicon Valley. Oh yeah, I'm a robo-clone. Okay. Ready? Okay, sure. This is from New York. I know, it has this sort of like charm, doesn't it? My friend does this No Man's Choir. It's going to be free, so don't worry. It's all free, doesn't. I want to give you that book too if you take it with you. It's really nice. So no, that was. Hello, she's really nice, but she's dead. Okay, so my friend, I say that because I've never met him. If you meet someone, it often disappoints, doesn't it? Like when I met God, she was black, and I just thought to myself, I'm not prejudiced, but I was told something different. Anyway, I don't know about you, but it's just, thank you. Okay, this little book, if you said short poems, it might get published by this guy. So it's a good reason to take it as soon as I finish reading it. He likes short poems. I mean, short, like haiku and that. So I did a long one. And he's still printed. This came out yesterday. Maya for Mayans, Julien calendar for Christians, Moon calendar for Wiccans, Augustan calendar for Romans, Desk calendar for office workers. Maya still exists in Guatemala and Chiapas. Romans still exist, although they're now called Italians. Christians still exist, although divided in many factions. And our moon still exists for more than pagans. Waves rise in adoration for her pull is gravitational, cycles and seasons within women menstrual, lunatics were so named for the moon's effect on all, almanacs plant in moon season cycles directional, divide one world via religion, wars and borders, moon will not obey, she still beams above us all, and when you land a flag upon her face, you will still have to leave, as yet no moon base. Moon still cycles round one sun, as it has from before the dawn of our sidereal time. Endings are such artificial constructions. Watch that moon outside tonight. She will illuminate all seasons. Water knows, Sea of Tranquility was named for a reason. Let the end of the world come for calendars of Mayans. Let moon men and women spin in cycles ad infinitum. Free, who wants it? Okay, crowd, it's really great. Come on up, save me. Thank you. Merci, merci. Nothing's changed, just the location.
Okay, so this one's by Lacey Roop, which is.
I know Lacey. She's great.
She's awesome. She's beautiful.
So.
Okay. I don't know the title. I just got memorized, so I watched it so many times. When a girl says "kiss me," be careful.
Yeah.
She may not know what she's asking. She may not know what she wants. Some girls never do. Ask her what she wants. And sure, there are no wrong answers. If she says she needs time, then give her all your clocks. If it's space she wants, construct her a rocket, send her there. Mean what you say. Girls do not like to be lied to. Mean what you say. Kiss her, but do not expect anything. Above all else, girls disdain expectations. Do not discard her as just another one, or mistake her as a wonder carved from the skin of the moon. Girls are special, not unique. They are hair high, teeth, thumb, bone, brain, wondrous vessels composed of hellos, heartbeats, goodbyes, and gums. Their bodies shaped like cellos or pears, as unpredictable and powerful as wind or waves. Listen to me, my brother, when I say, welcome her crash with caution. Tell her you appreciate her entirety, even the rust. Build her a castle with the dirt she swept under the rug. Undress her ghosts. Tell her her ghouls are gorgeous. Palm her failures. But do not treat her like a problem to solve. You, Dad, are not that advanced. She's not a book to be read, then placed back on the shelf, a magazine to thumb through, a letter to be opened and sent out, some 44-cent stamp. She is not an equation. Do not treat her like a number. Pull her close. Follow her breath. Study it. Just listen. Kiss her like wind. Kiss her like rain. Kiss her like spark. Move slow. Let her hips guide you. Feel her meaningful. Thrust is gentle. Move like you're giving something back instead of taking something from her. Never make her feel like she is an accident. Even when you hate her, do not hate her. Accept her misunderstood. Understand her uncomfortable, adore her whole, respect her being, embrace her difficult, love her awkward, cuddle her complexity, caress her chaos, but never put her on a pedestal. You may like her too much to hurt herself if she were to fall. What I have learned is that when a girl says, "Kiss me," it's best to be careful, because she may not know what she's asking, and you may not anticipate the haunting she can bring you when she doesn't want you to anymore.
Yay, Lacey! This is open. Just get up anytime and do whatever you like. That's a strict rule. Every day is different. My morning starts at night. I steal from the moon. Light, reflection, dreams, memories, reminders, thoughts, feeling, images, random they appear until dragooned into little lines standing to attention, to command yours. Every dream is different. Oceans of unwritten thought bubbles float away carelessly rich. Trickles of silver inspirations drip uncaring, unseen. Unedited emotions range outside the frame of this cage of a page. Very few cats can be trained. Like ant circuses, it takes vision to see them. One or two will escape Earth's prosaic atmosphere to dwell in deeper silences. Here I visit as a pilgrim to solicit their random wisdom. If I am lucky, they listen. The jury of my peers is a harsh judge and a hanging jury. I dare not fool with them. Some people take this life very seriously indeed. With what time I can beg or borrow from tomorrow, I catch glimpses of antique clocks, darling melting fob watches, little digital clicks, baby chick yellow light inspirations, and a zoo of biodegradable curiosities. All of this is a hit and myth affair, like my daily autobiography, Chapter 2. Okay. Oh, come on, yeah, good. I do. I want action.
You want to see that?
What?
You want to speak while I play?
Sure, why don't we try that, yeah. When Nelson Mandela became head of South Africa, he had two poets praising him. One was for his tribe and the other was for the nation. When they had the inauguration of the president in the United States, well, for John F. Kennedy, they had Robert Frost. Robert Frost couldn't read the poem he had chosen for the inauguration. The sun was in his eyes. So he read one from memory. When James Jefferson Clinton became President of the United States, he had Maya Angelou do a poem. Bush didn't know what poetry was, so we have to wait for Obama, who did a poem, had a poet who was fairly, shall we say, prosaic. I got another one. My humor. I just read from Happiness. Happy Night. So I want to do what they did. I want to praise you for your bravery and for loving Lacey Root.
I love it so much.
I've known her maybe 12 years now from the Hideout, where she was very young, innocent, she had long hairs, and she was just looking at the world with big eyes, you know? And it was absolutely pure. And her poems are all true from her life. They're not like made up stuff about, once upon a time I sat upon a star and I talked to fairies and pixies. No. Yeah, you're going to kiss a girl. She's kissed that girl. So, you can trust. I want a line that's like the foundations beneath us. I want a poem you can stand upon. I want a poem you can build the foundation of your life upon, because someone else's life poured into that moment and made it into a diamond from the compressed coal of the dark mines they visited after midnight. Midnight to dawn, that's poet time, and starlight time, that's night time. And that's our time. Because daytime belongs to NSA, CIA, FBI, Centurion, left brain, happiness to you. But nighttime is poet time, wolf time, tribal time, individual time, time when ideas, thoughts, images can actually roam and prowl and have solitaries who choose to walk down unknown paths. Some poet once said there's another way to the waterfall, and I think we're all looking for the other way to the waterfall. And it's always different for all of us. And sometimes we come across someone like Pablo Neruda, sometimes we come across Rilke or Rimbaud, sometimes we come across Baudelaire, Francois Villon, Mallarmé. Sometimes you come across someone that just slaps you in the face and says everything you think is wrong, everything you feel is right. And you think, well, okay, I can go back to sleep now because someone said it. But Rumi was 600 years ago, and he only came to America when Robert Bly translated him. Robert Bly does not speak Persian. And did you know that Dylan Thomas couldn't speak Welsh? The greatest Welsh poet couldn't speak Welsh. So the great joke is we're translating the silences and pouring them down to incomprehensible speech patterns and communicating with fellow peers in the sense that we want to ourselves extricate the programming that's prosaic and dull into a sort of magical dance that sparkles and shines with little epiphanies all the way along. And that's the magic of every night, every dream, every footstep, every line of every poem and every song ever written. That could be wrong. She said you stop there. Sure, boss. Coming your way. Woohoo! Flying boat. You're welcome.
I used to describe open mics as playing that game when you were a kid with a balloon, where the object of the game was to keep the balloon in the air. So the balloon's have to settle down, so we get it. The other day where I must have been in a mathematical mood because I had the idea that it just, the phrase 1 + 1 = 2 went through my head. I thought, well, that sounds really strange. I don't know if that sounds like truth. It's coming out of nowhere. What do you mean 1 + 1 = 2? And it plays into something that I've been thinking about, and I sent Thom a note today about the concept of symbiosis. I spent the better part of the last 2 years practicing detachment. Found myself getting too connected to things. My car, my desire for money, my kids, my life. And I found myself recently feeling like that isolated man out just further out than the space station, detached from his space shuttle. In that cold space where there's no more umbilical cord. It occurred to me I like some other images much better than that, but I didn't have quite the word for it. I like the symbiosis of the way my pillow and my dreams play together. It's good for the pillow, it's good for my dreams, it's good for me. So the object here is to symbiosize. Don't get disconnected from things, but work in tandem. Either at open mics or around their couch. or in bars or cafes or coffee shops or around kitchen tables. I want to capture every single one of them on film. I want to show them to everybody. Because they're the ones where people say what's true, and that's nothing more than what's on their mind. Thanks.
Yeah. You know how when we meet lucky people, every now and then we just think, oh, there's a shining star. I was lucky to see this guy, no, that guy's dead. It wasn't. It was Voloshinsky and Yevtushenko. They were doing a double bill, like I saw Ginsberg and Ferlinghetti, right? And Ginsberg was doing, like that William Blake poem, he was doing that to a harmonium, right? Out of tune harmonium, there he was, doing Blake tunes. And I thought, wow, I can do that. But he had 2,500 people paying $15. So I realized that I can be wrong. So then Mayakovsky was good because apart from writing the most brilliant surrealist poem, The Cloud Wore Trousers, he also went against Stalin. You know, he could have had fame and fortune, but he said, Stalin, you're messing with the people, don't do it. So that was the end for Mayakovsky. He had to kill himself. But this is really good, how a verse is made. You interested in Russian poetry at all? Because I love it. I'm not interested, okay, Russian. Done, yeah. So this is one by a translation, of course, so I don't speak Russian. Mayakovsky, you must know about him. He was a poet of the Russian Revolution. It's really good. We love it. Anyway, this is one. It's a very short one. One of a few of Yevgeny Yevtushenko. I met him at the University of Melbourne. I met him at the University of Texas, and he's made movies that are wonderful movies. So I digress. It's called Lies. Telling lies to the young is wrong. Telling them that God's in his heaven and all's well with the world is wrong. The young are people. They know what you mean. Tell them the way is hard, the difficulties are uncounted. Tell them you have failed before and will probably fail again. Tell them now, tell them often, otherwise the young will not forgive in us what we so readily forgave in ourselves. Isn't that great? Yevgeny Yevtushenko, right? Oh, I didn't write. Oh, but here's Julien.
I think I would have chosen wealth and fame instead of going against Stalin.
That's why you're still alive.
Exactly. You know, in spite of all the reasons I shouldn't be, I do have a pretty good survival instinct.
You do. It's amazing.
So when a crazy dope dealer who smokes legal weed tells you to cook steak at 5:30 in the morning, that steak better be tender and juicy. And yet well done. And luckily, I'm a damn good cook. And I've been in situations like that. And somehow the crazy people never end up going off on me.
That's true, isn't it? Yeah.
In spite of all the provocation I give them. I say horrible things, but I say them very politely.
Yeah.
I don't tend to go off much. Well, I did punch a wall yesterday.
Why? What the wall do?
The wall didn't do anything, but it's better to hit the wall than the person causing the stress. And I was being bullied over several months on Facebook by some strange woman that does not know me. I think she lives in Utah, which is all the reason she needs, I guess, to be pissed off and crazy. I mean...
Yeah, 4-letter word.
But was a friend on Facebook of a woman that I hoped to end up married to at some point. So I was kind, even in the middle of all these pointless and completely baseless attacks. It's not like I haven't faced bullies much worse than this woman. As anyone here who remembers my beloved ex-wife knows.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this chick was nothing. She was a lightweight. It just so happened that she was shitting in what I consider sacred space, which is any space I share with my English. whether it's real or virtual. So I kept getting, I kept restraining myself, because Lisa would explain to me that this woman was, well, she had a terrible ex who treated her badly, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I kept not attacking back. Then yesterday she did it one more time, and Lisa gave me free rein to attack. I still didn't. She did. I reposted that on Facebook this morning because it's the first time, after all the times I've been under such brutality, it's the first time anyone ever spat it back at someone on my behalf. Really. Just tore this bitch down. And it was a beautiful thing, and she did it in her very English way. I mean, there were bad words in there, but still there was an elegance to the way Lisa did it that you would not get from an American voice. It feels really good to fucking have people that are people of value stand up for you. Even when there's really no point in interacting with psychotic people to begin with. Well, I guess if you have certain inclinations, there's a point. I was also realizing just how much shit people are willing to take from nasty people if said nasty people have something you want or need. And I guess the point of this long ramble to some degree is bullying. I got bullied into doing something beautiful one morning, and it all worked out for the best. People were like, why don't you stand up to him? Why don't you just... And well, because why in the hell shouldn't I cook a good meal? Sometimes there's a point in standing up to whatever obnoxious personality thinks it's in charge. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes doing what the obnoxious asshole says eventually does you better. I don't know, like that dude that went up against Stalin. I don't think he did the people any good. It didn't do anybody any good to go up against Stalin, typically. The man was a completely psychotic thug who would do absolutely anything to retain power. He killed the Vanguard Party, destroyed Russian communism and everything it could have been if it had maintained a Leninist model. Who knows? But that impulse to stand against it is suicidal.
Good point.
So all those beautiful words you could have said will be lost. Those words might have lasted and made a longer difference than whatever direct political action you tried. So let's actually look back at what Shakespeare did. Shakespeare hid a lot of subversive material to avoid going against the state or being killed. I mean, his family was secretly Catholic, and there are things hidden in those plays that are messages to Catholics. Not that I would be of the, well, okay, I could get into some thorny areas here, but I won't. The point is, those words have lasted this length of time because when the bully asked Shakespeare to cook the steak, he made that the most beautiful fucking steak he could make it. And, well, he chose not to poison them. But there were added ingredients that would have their effect in time. But it takes time for those things to produce.
I don't know if we're going to
Birdman's house.
So, how you doing, Tom? Yeah.
This is the only other original one that I brought tonight other than everything else. This is really personal, so I would reserve extra do this one, but I figured screw it, why not?
Yeah, you got it.
People think I had it easy, not because my father responded with a simple okay when I told him that I was gay, but because of all the things that he could have said. Everyone has their own choice word for it, you know, unnatural, sinful, a fluke. As if placing blame on someone for loving differently than you have the capacity to understand makes you innocent. As if it clears your conscience to persecute someone for being a different type of different than you are. You put so much effort into finding wrong in others, you can't see yourself. You are better than any pre-programmed prejudice or default setting. Rise above. You have the power for change. You have the power to stand as a valid opinion and speak for those whose opinion is not welcome. People think I had it easy because I am female, and lesbians are more socially acceptable than gay men, because 2 bottles of perfume is easier to swallow than 2 jock straps. But let's really get this straight. Lesbians are more sexualized, and sexuality and social acceptability are 2 things that get confused all too often. Because let's face it, 2 women hear the vivid audacity behind "can I join you" or "can I watch?" While 2 men overhear the terrified what-ifs of a father with a newborn son who thinks his kid won't lead any kind of life worthwhile if he ends up liking boys. Because the same moment humanity becomes profanity is the moment humans are denied their basic rights because of the simple anatomy of the one they call their own. People think I had it easy, but none of us have it easy. We live our lives based off of the hope that people will make an exception in their beliefs for us. We breathe off of the idea that we are the outcast, the underdog, and we are what, pleasantly surprised when we get treated with uniform politeness? People think we have it easy because growing up to be everything your parents never expected was always such an easy thing to admit to, but none of us had it easy. And as you sign your divorce papers and decide you're too lazy to wear a condom, remember that in layman's terminology and with the utmost conviction, you have it easy because you have a choice. But what about those born to the wrong body? We look at their surgery as a tattoo they may later regret, but it's entitled a correction surgery for a purpose. People are individual thoughts and aspirations, and the moment you stand in the way of someone's own, you are infringing on their chance to have it easy. People think I have it easy because I was able to write this. But you come to understand it takes more than words to move people. It takes force and it takes strength, and you just don't get that by having it easy.
I love that. Thank you. Simple put faith back in my pocket. The best company at 3 a.m. in the morning besides my clients. Perdí a la madre que mide confianza en los vatos. And he said, how many licks does it take to get to the center of your universe? Universe, reverse submission and ambition from this uterus, and feeling flawless, you and I can't help but to think the moon was even a fan of us. Sentando acomodándonos en este apartamento that was mucho más grande que mío, and he said, I don't like popcorn, and I said, ay, güey, no me importa. Importance laces my thoughts on how you're gonna court a sister. Play footsie with nice tangled feet and sheets. Feet get kind of sweaty, but we're too nervous to let eyes meet. Me gusta como me hablas, y yo sé que te gusta como explico las cosas de la vida. Entonces, ¿por qué no ponemos los labios juntos para hacer una poema más bonita? It's voice that gets me, see. And when we met, I was reading horoscopes to the waiter as if it was poetry. Y allí sentabas, wide-eyed at me. Could it be that we surprise one another with our own beauty? And looks lock and past lives intertwine, as if our ancestry had written the script. Eyes trace bodies like public transportation penetrates its city. No cookie-cutter conversations. Quieres conocer mi interior, y con esta pasión our words got gritty. Witty, fresh, and confidently on the market. And brother plants as thoughts grow, feeding this fertile universe to release her gift and incite her glow. You said, I have to ask. And I said, well, baby, please do. And by the way, has anyone ever told you those dimples make me melt? And that perfect nose of yours. I can't help but pienso en las cosas malas y cómo me deberías abrazar. But transparency ain't been my ally in a long time. Working slowly, respecting your pace, haste, and no waste, even if mine's racing. Escaping that space, habitually developing relationships from old habits que ya no me sirven. To find you on the other side reside, not permitting wordless moments to constitute a divide. Even if it's just stand-up comedy all night. Put faith back in my pocket, and all of a sudden the ambience feels fresh and just right.
Yeah. Big moves speak.
That's exactly why, between the two of you, I do open mics also. It's also why I'm starting a new magazine called Unanimous, spelled Y-O-U, Unanimous. And if you want my emails, all of you, come get my email, y'all can send it to me. It's just an email PDF magazine that's going to go out trying to broadcast the fact that everybody in Austin says the same thing, just completely different. Your poem was her poem was your poem, but the way you say it sounds a certain way, and the way she says it sounds just a little bit different. To me, that's the joy of it. So I'll try to hopefully do something that sounds a little bit different than that. As I lay in my bathtub with the door closed and the lights out, even the little 4-amp one in the kitchen, so it was totally dark. Except the light dribbling in through the bottom of my door, my shower curtain closed, my head in the water, where I knew I don't have to do or be anything. I can do nothing in this space of warmth and comfort and isolation and darkness until I am so moved. I slide up out of the tub. I look before me. I know my feet are against the wall in the pitch blackness. I can see my hand, yet there is no light. This Taoist space between this and that, imagination and real and nothing. And I know for certain. And people say, oh, you don't know shit, you can't know nothing, But we poets know something, that's why we do this stuff. Because there's something we know. We can't define it. Every single point is a definition of a feeling or a moment. Being is intrinsically valuable. It has in its own merit something akin to Thomas Jefferson when he says, these truths are self-evident. Being existent, no matter it be a lampshade or a mic or a table or an egg or a speech, has in its thingness. When we meditate on itness. We are completely at ease, doing nothing that we need to do, nothing that has to be done. There are so few things in our life, I think, can't tell, but that sounds like what is saying not easy and somebody talking to you sass to you is about. But there are some things that are worth doing in and of themselves. Because the practice of being in existence in poetry is intrinsically valuable.
Yeah, just away Thompson, alive and well.
I am alive.
Yes, he is.
So I thought maybe being that it's kind of a slow night, I'll tell a story.
Please.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned Dylan Thomas earlier.
Yeah.
And it clicked into my head. I remembered being in New York and being at the White Horse.
White Horse, yeah.
Which is, where he ended up dying. And of course, to mention the quote would be cliche, but basically he drank enough to do himself in and left. And so anyway, I went to the bar. And when I first walked in, I was disappointed because it looked like a sports bar. Except it's New York City, so it's like a sports bar crammed into like your bedroom,
Yeah.
But as it turned out, they had a room to the side that was dark and had little portraits of him and whatnot, and it was nice. It was a nice thing. But I don't remember what neighborhood the bar was in, but I know we ended up in Tribeca. And the two guys that I was traveling with, one had a girlfriend in New York, long distance relationship. The other one flew his girlfriend in, and so one goes out for $40 steaks, and the other couple goes out for $80 steaks. And I didn't have money for $40 steaks, which means I didn't have money for $80 steaks. So I went into full survival mode, which means that I was, actually. for a brief moment, becoming a New Yorker in a sense, you know.
Yes.
And so I walked around and I, you know, smelled and listened and found the little, you know, Indian restaurant that was about, you know, from here to the wall line.
Yeah.
You know, with, you know, fill up a plate with everything you want for $6. Okay, I made it. So anyway, the next night I went out on a bender. That part's not interesting. So in the morning I woke up after the bender, and my friend that I met there, who was living in Williamsburg at the time, owned a restaurant in Manhattan, and he went off to work. His roommate wakes me up and says, "We're going to the restaurant. Get up. Let's go." So I got up, walked for the door. She grabs a bicycle. She says, "Grab Steve's bike," and I grab it, walk out the door, and I say, "We can take the bikes on the subway?" And before I got a response, she was on the bike heading through Brooklyn. So then I was on the bike heading through Brooklyn and riding my bicycle in the street in New York, across the Brooklyn Bridge, thinking that I was going to die at any moment. But the trip across the Brooklyn Bridge was the most amazing experience that I had in New York City. It was lovely. So that night we end up at the restaurant, Bloody Marys, so on and so on, and we make it down to the subway, and there's no one down there except these two young girls, the grandmother and their babies. It didn't occur to me that there's anything strange about these two young girls, their grandmother and their babies, being down there, except when I realized that it was past 3 in the morning. And they explained to me that they had been kicked out and were going to find some place where they could all crash, a friend's house that didn't mind babies and grandmothers staying there. And, so we talked to them for a while, and then there was the sippy cup rolls out from one of the little sleepy children. He threw it out of the stroller and rolls off onto the tracks, the train tracks. And so next thing you know, one of the little plump mothers rolls out onto the track after the sippy cup. And so me and my friend Steve, we would scream and run over and trying to pull this poor girl off the tracks because she can't get off by herself because she's very short, and you know, from the tracks, if I remember correctly, it's about up to here on me, you know, so she couldn't get up, and had to pull her up, and my friend Steve's roommate's crying, and she's, "Oh, the babies, why are they down here?" and everything, and it was pretty terrifying. But anyhow, Dylan Thomas just made me think of that earlier, so I wanted to share that for what it's worth. Thank you.
Birdman from Houston. Part of our blood and bone. Yeah, welcome back. How you doing? So far, so good.
Yes. Good evening. They call I go by the Birdman.
Yeah.
And
Machine. Replaceable human.
yes. And, okay, there we go. I can be found at birdman313.com, which is my website. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Yeah, that's cool. And this poem I'm going to read, actually, this is our 4th night of poetry.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we've been doing it.
3 in Houston?
No, 1 was in Friendswood.
Okay.
2 was in Houston.
Okay. And this is us.
Yeah.
And we got
Tomorrow, Stomping Ground.
Stomping Grounds, yeah. Austin Rise
Yes.
Roulette. Tomorrow
Yes.
at 4 o'clock at the Stomping Grounds Cocktail Bar. The theme is forgiveness.
Forgiveness. And actually, this is a poem I wrote for Thursday night. Transmigration.
Yeah. Transmigration.
So, that was wild in there. You wouldn't believe it. It was wild. It was wild. And I call this one "Floating Through floating through time. To be, wait a minute, floating through time, okay. To believe that souls are reincarnated and have been limited to the need to comply to the standards of scriptures, so the soul can be tolerated. Man has been taught that he has absolute free will. The soul is tied through darkness. Demons enter the soul to try to prevent ultimate fulfillment, punishment for sin, heartache from a troubled soul, then another incarnation, now in another mind and body transformation, then only in the lifetime of heroes. Totally feeling in another time is rare. Now with the soul uniting with God, can an animal turn for a lifetime into another form, going around for another turn? Now the soul changes again. Read one more? Sure. Okay. This next one is titled Sunrise to Paint the Sky. I think this is in one of my books. I have 4 poetry books and 3 chapbooks. I always keep copies with me if anybody want to purchase one. I'm not trying to rob nobody from them, so, you know, they run from what? One chapbook is $3, the other 2 is $5 a piece. Books is 10, and the reason why the one is 15 because it's 222 pages, so, you know. Yeah. And this one here is titled Sunrise to Paint the Sky. I have seen the sunrise paint the sky. Stars sparkle brightly deep in the eyes. Vision of strength came into view. Then the confession from a soul that is true. Off into the horizon, a death gown is displayed. A watery grave shows of bones and decay. There is a heart that is already dead. Worms already join the body and head. Hands placed on the earth as the sun drops. Then the rain shall become nothing more than scattered teardrops. As the dreams are kept deep into the eyes, I have seen the sunrise that paint the skies.
Hang on that theme of poetic pilgrimage. You want to play?
Oh, yeah,
Take away. It's great, you know. I don't know about you, but I'm curious. I don't trust anything or anyone, so I always go to where they say the scene was, right?
Yes.
Okay, I went to New Year's Eve, go to Times Square. It's been a killing in Queens, so they separate us all out and no one get anywhere. Boring. Go to Sydney Harbour Bridge for the New Year's Eve, you know, a million people, everyone drunk as skunks, boring. So I decided, okay, hunt down the dead ones, okay? So I go to W.B. Yeats Tower in Connemara. Inside that tower, which is a Norman tower, turning the widening guy, the falcon can't hear the falconer. The anarchy is loosed upon the earth. And that's replaying, and I go up the top. But there's no W.B. Yeats spirit there, so I piss from the tower. I go to James Joyce's tower in Dublin. I only lived there one night. It was chased around, it's in that book by the British officer, mad British officer with a gun. But there ain't nothing but a James Joyce Museum of Dead Bones. I piss from the tower there. And I go to Charles Dickens' house in London, and I'm sitting there and says, do not sit in this chair. So I sit in the chair. It's just an invitation, isn't it? And I say, do not. Look on the other side of the sign. I go to William Wordsworth's Dove Cottage in the Lake District. Absolutely beautiful. And every now and then, you get to feel why they wrote, why Wordsworth would have written Daffodils. And why he was a nature poet in one of the most beautiful spots on earth. The Lake District is astonishing. It's Lake Windermere, Lake Grasmere, and all the trees everywhere, untouched for centuries. And then I find out William Wordsworth was a nature lover, and he didn't want people to come to his beloved Lake District. He wanted to keep them out, because he knew that the humus virus would destroy what is beautiful and natural. And he was right. There's tourist barges everywhere. There's tourist bus tours. Come see Wordsworth, Dove's Cottage, Grasmere. And so I wonder about, it's like indigenous people, they have 2 theories about the white man, you know. White man, stupid, okay, so tell him nothing. Don't tell him nothing. Because the word for themselves is kuri, or Murray if you're down south. And the word for white man is gaba, which means stupid. And in New Zealand, the word for white man is pakea, which means really stupid. So, and the other theory, which is what I tend towards, is look, things are getting pretty grim in this world because we've got a lot of stupidity happening. So we need to tell everyone everything. Spill it out. If anything justifies life, it's life itself. Love and art that people fade oblivious. Depths of waters conceal no hidden meaning that core affords. Hollow and obvious, coloured by moods lost in logic's lands. We kill closed categories before we know it all. Why are we so imprisoned? If images collide, knock against your walled life. If wings are clipped without your knowing. If reason fails for want of words, there seems no cure. Find what you know. Return to it. More seems lost than is preserved in your own rhythms. Hold tight to those with whom you share your hopes. Because a poem is just a small bird, delicate as a coloured second. It flies like a kite, lives in your shadowed skin, dies with the light of day, sun or words is cast upon to melt its meaning. We are, despite all, still alive. Join this above all things now. Can you sing with us? Can you sing?
There's no one else here but us. Okay, this is another personal one I found on my phone.
Oh, great.
I haven't read over this one in probably 2 weeks, so I messed up. Sorry. Every time I ask a girl out, confusion conquers her expression as she tries to figure me out. But my pieces have never fit together just the way I planned them to. I don't straighten my sexuality like you straighten your hair, and I don't plaster over my identity like you plaster over your face. And believe it or not, my view of beauty is wider than the panoramic photos of your gold-plated iPhone. But I am the subject of conversation more often than I am the subject of appreciation, and that's just the problem. I'm a subject. As if my value is the equivalent of your senior year English class, because people to this day still believe that love is a landmark, something to admire, set in stone. But we are not definitions or exhibitions or fruity or flaming or abominations. We are people. But when I tell my friends about my latest one-night stand, let them see how repulsive I've allowed myself to become, all they think twice about is the girl I was with. I didn't know she went that way. Everyone goes that way. Everyone goes every way. Sexuality and gender are just two of the boxes to check when society asks you what you are, because a person isn't a sufficient answer anymore. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the palpitations that bust through your chest when she walks into the room. Your being is not a definition, as if it's not authentic because society can't find the seam in the plastic where your ribs were molded from a benchmark silicone system of sympathy. You are not a series of serial digits. You are not a product and you are not finished. You are not art. You are not software yet to be perfected. You are comprised of aromas and accidents, mismatched socks and pop rocks, fingerprints and filth, rust and pixie dust. You are not unique. You are special, and every molecule is magnificent. Every inch is infatuating. Every eyelash is intoxicating. You are intoxicating. You are loud and you are steady and you move like a hurricane of determination. You are wonderful. And before you were ever straight, queer, dyke, femme, butch, or beautiful, you are ultimately human. Stop thinking so hard. Stop moving so fast. Just fucking stop. Listen to the wisdom in your pulse, the lessons in your lungs. You are a soul, a heart, a human. You are never lesser. So when you stand in awe before the girl of your dreams, do not get offended when she tries to figure you out. She is merely confused. She does not yet understand the difference between a dude, a dyke, and a person, and it may be ages before she realizes that there is not one.
Yes.
I'll get up here.
Okay, let's get up.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Now, isn't this reverse?
I can do this if you can do that.
Okay.
I like doing this.
Oh, okay.
If you say something like, can you play something jazzy, or you say something like, can you play something hard, I have no flipping clue.
Oh, no.
I think we're good.
I'm gonna read another one. I just graduated from ITT, so I've been doing a little bit more writing lately.
Yes.
And, actually, the last time we was up here, they shut down a few of the roads, like 35. So we was watching this movie, and I actually wrote a poem about the movie. I'm not gonna tell you the name of the movie until the very end. And the title of it is called Young Love, Young Guns. A couple who met and fell in love, fled on the open road floating like a dove, escaping from life demons who chased them around, robbing city banks from city to town. Newspaper portrayed them as the Robin Hoods of modern crime, hitting grocery stores and gas stations whichever had a dime. Some say they would go down in history side by side. Others will agree there is much grief for a quick ride. Stories have been told how they robbed and steal. People tried to befriend them so they could squeal. There wasn't a jail that could keep them in a cell. One thing for sure, they all was going to hell. They got credit for banks that someone else did. Life for the two had put their dim road on the skid. Now all the roads were blocked and blind. No one would give up until the day they died. There was some untruth for the many write-ups, while newspaper reporters had to find a story to fill their pages up. They once tried to settle down and rent a flat, but submachine guns in the middle of the night went rat-a-tat-tat. If you read the stories how most outlaws died, now you know this poem is about Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah. Gave it away.
I love it.
Yeah. And I'm going to read one more, then I'll let Ben Franklin get up here.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Maybe.
Huh?
Maybe. I don't know.
Let me see. Darkness in the Twilight. I've never read this one before. Mission is accomplished. The mind is numb. A leaf flows within a hurricane. Confessions seem to lose their way. Angels will be merciful till they own it all. Dreams, sin, heaven, hell, and whatever is in between. Snakes will dance to their own tune as the devil tiptoes in between. Then comes the sane to the insane. Touch the earth. Ignorance shall not save your soul. Why look towards the angel? They disappeared a long time ago. All right, Ben.
What's your name?
Kayla.
Kayla?
Yeah.
I'm Scott.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Birdman, you're actually gonna probably hear me try to sing.
Oh, okay. Hey, this is Saturday night.
We're drinking.
Yeah.
I was on Facebook and I had seen a song by Sting. And so after hearing the song, I kind of wrote this one. It's poem lyrics.
That might be hard. Go ahead.
Keep the world stinging. Sing me a tune with the sting. Singing a light, delightful lyrics. Sailing a love musical harmony. Sails drifting love melody. Drift my soul in pure sunshine. Feeling that sting power vibration. Vibrate those strings to the heart, floating on sensual sound sensation. Play me a song with a sting,
playing a course in pure tranquility, plucking with heartstring motion, pluck the rose and love me emotion, drip my soul in pure sunshine, feeling that sting power vibration, vibrate those strings to the heart, floating on sensual sound sensation, sting me in a static love potion, in a vibrating love lotion, that tingles in pure pollination, blossoming forth the feminine flowers, into be lovers, singing a sting song for forever and forevermore. I've done it better before, but I'll get it right one of these years.
Just tell me you can wait for it.
Okay. I don't know. I'm really new at reading my work anyway,
Oh, great,
so
great,
I guess
great.
it's all new. I wish I would have brought more stuff.
That's what you should have. Just make it.
It's such a nice, non-threatening environment.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
Sorry.
I wish I would have brought all my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Next time.
Next time. This is called That Soft Feeling of Knowing You're Sleeping. It's that soft feeling of knowing you're sleeping, reassuring those beautiful eyes, arms, and mental energies are resting, recharging. I find peace in seeing you sleep. It's that cautious, just became lovers, learning new languages, dialects engraved in bodies, earth tone, full figure touches, soft edges, openly interior, and no fear of intimacy. Let's let eyes meet. But put confidence back where it belongs, inside my being, driving up from my feet. Sweet sense of growing woman grounding, where surrender no longer means defeat. No jumping bases here, touched in ways Rumi explains. Lovers were always inside of each other, it's not the first time when they met. The manual to open the box has been returned, relearned, and those hands I admire from afar are compassionately concerned. 5 o'clock, blue tint of the morning, scoped shoulders, light lifted off circles around eyes. Movements clearly create foundations, as hands caress the outlines and border towns of my inner thighs. Awaken forgotten desires, disguised by familiar occupying standbyers. Tickle me alive, femininely heavy set, thick undertone, inviting you hospitably to the entrance sign. Sleeping giant resides, temples open their windows and close their doors once good company has arrived. It's a giggle, a shake of the head, a confusing abundance of pleasure, reach nowhere near the finish line. Toes twirl and hair curls as chemistry advocates for organic ashes to sit overnight. Refurbished, twerked, ignited, new oil in the creaks and cracks that are byproducts of yesterday's past. It's that soft feeling of knowing you're sleeping. Put in the towel, leave shoes at the door. The disorder is now in place, leaving peace in your core. Eyes left on their hook, plants have been watered, teeth brushed, food for tomorrow's already cooked. Close my eyes at this point, truly unable to verbalize. That soft feeling of knowing you're sleeping, a feeling to love, selflessly realize.
Here he is. Just the way Thompson.
All right, I just have one more. Well, you know, I had a writer's block for about 2 years, and not that I didn't write anything, but everything I was writing was bad, and I didn't break out of writing bad stuff. I just got to the point where I can't tell the difference between the good stuff and the bad stuff. So here I am. Here we go. Sitting on the white porcelain John and wondering, did they really lose Bar Rockaway to the century storm? Did the new Pope really fire the pederast priests and dare to ask the great white America why it counts stock points as newsworthy? Have they greased up the gears for another war? No, not yet. But they are sparing no one in the meantime. I put my hands out for warmth, as if coddling a soft dove with my pants down and my lips drawn into a shape not unlike a puckering asshole, wonder, do the others make love so fast, like everything else, making time into mincemeat under their cheap rubber shoes, putting away my own shriveled white flesh and locking it tightly away from the rest of them, those so frightened of everything and everyone, they shoot through their doors at the brains and the skull boxes of anyone knocking unexpectedly. While I'm feasting on boiled potatoes in my knapsack, with cooking oil and salt in place of butter, in a red-painted room with white ceilings, trying to decipher the slender marks on the wall like some animal was trying to escape for fear or simply for the sheer sake of survival. But it wasn't me, I promise.
I detect the theme of the previous lovers, so I was going to try it on that thing. Another time, another face. She told me of his name, how she loved him in vain, how he treated her so hard she had to leave. She was broken, it seemed. Anyhow, she came with me, talked of him and slept with me. We met occasionally, her drinking and talking, me just listening. All the words of love for him. Every time we meet, she will still speak, because she's in love with memories. Sometime told his mother he was in love with someone other than his present lover. Mother said he ought to marry boss man's daughter. Security, she said, means more than double bed. He just laughed, said love will win despite the plans of everyone. His love, it seems, had other dreams, but despite his well-intentioned scheme, she married someone well within her means. Now what moral can be drawn, and one's queen becomes a pawn, and there seems no point in playing the game at all. Indiscreet. You know I know you well and lovingly. If I were to see you on the street, you in your world, I in mine, would we act so indiscreet? Your love lights up the darkest hours. When touch to touch, we are quite separate cage. In separate homes and situations, we reach out through the jungle bars. So freedom, bird, I love your full flight. Not pity, fear, or close we tight. You have so much to give in love. Mother, lover, companion, close bound all. So we share our hidden resignation, live in marriage, drive, isolation, and are not free to speak of our frustrations. While others speak, we victim their deliberations.
One about a lost love, and this has nothing to do with. This is just, you know, everybody's circumstance is different. Everybody has the weird eccentricities, excentricities that everybody has. So this just happens to be one of mine. It's also a story about a lost love. There's a love of mine who's so different, so distant at this point. I mean, I've had girlfriends. I had at one point, you know, when you're still doing the counting and you're like, well, how many people have I had sex with? Whatever. It was like 9, whatever. I thought that was something, you know, it was a number. And I've had serious girlfriends. When I was in high school, I had a girlfriend that was very serious. I thought, wow, this is serious. I lost my virginity to her. This must be very important. And then in high school, I had, right out of, after senior year, I asked somebody to marry me. We spent the summer together at my place and her parents' place, and you know, I remember them. I remember like hugging them and holding them and knowing them in different ways. How they just infuriated the shit out of me and would piss me off. Okay, ex-wife, recent ex-wife, and yet there were charming parts. Like these days, one of the things I'm having to do is reassess all the bitterness I have toward that ex-wife and try to remember. There was at one point my aunt said, I never envisioned y'all breaking up because you look so happy together. But after a bad 2-something-year-long divorce, I can't remember. I know there was a time that we all danced in my living room at our house and pushed the furniture back, and me and my 2-year-old son and my wife danced. So I remember the joy. But there was another lover who, out of happenstance and the way things go, it used to be I would read a lot, voraciously. Albino and Borges and Neruda and Pinsky and Bly and all these people. And I would write a lot. And it was important to me to write a lot. And so I wrote a lot. And each day I'd have 3 to 5 poems or whatever. And then I'd read a book every couple days. And I had shelves and I measured them in linear feet. And then I started doing recording and spontaneously just talking. There were times where I would get to the stage over at Thrice, and I would be in the audience at Thrice, waiting, knowing it was my turn at some point. Editing with the paper at the mic. And finally I said, to hell with this, I'm just going to say it. The saying now is, I cannot remember loving reading. When I think of a book, and he's always like, this, I can't accept. Because given the choice between programming on a website that showcases all the voices in Austin, putting on a journal and writing poetry, when I think to go and pick up this and go, I would rather write than do that. And yet my son, my 12-year-old son, reads pretty much constantly, and when he's not reading, he's frustrated, which is cool. I'm like, woo, way to go, son, he's a voracious reader, way to go. And so when I try to tell him I don't read anymore, he doesn't believe it either. And it feels like an old girlfriend. And yet it's the same sense of an old girlfriend that says, I've crossed that bridge, I'm not going back there. I'm not going to go back there. Who knows? Maybe someday I'll pick up a book over at half price and I'll read the back cover and say, that's something I really want to find out about. It'll attract me and pull me in. There was no rose. At this point, the roses, I went in my bookshelf this afternoon and looked at the complete Walt Whitman that I've read. All 8 versions of Leaves of Grass. Ended it at a beautiful moment over at Zilker Park underneath the tree. I was too attached to it. That's a memento. That's a dried rose. I'm just not ready to give away yet. All the others I've given away. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Speaking of which, these boxes of books are free. You just take them. Burn wherever you want to help yourself. People say I'm doing poetry. Yes, books of it. Books of it. Yeah, please come on. That's right.
I'm going through my zip folder on my email and finding all these notes into my English teachers. This one's probably the one that I like the least out of all of my originals. There's parts of it where I feel like it's kind of teenage ranty, and I'm trying to stay away from that, but it came from my heart, so I guess that's something.
Yeah.
You've never seen yourself in color. You've seen photos of yourself, or you've seen yourself in a mirror, but you've never seen your color flood to the apples of your cheeks and bleed through to your jawbone and erupt out of your smile. You've never spent hours decoding your expression, and you've never devoted yourself to melting into your every crack and crevice. You've never gotten a chance to admire the way you hold your mouth when you paint your nails. And you've never been knocked off your feet by the hypnosis that nests itself in your Cupid's bow when you wear red lipstick. You have so many mysteries about you, how your part ends up in a different spot each day, how you refuse to wear socks that match, how precise you move your hands when you drive. You've never acknowledged these wonders, and it's impossible for you to do so. Looking for beauty in the constant is like looking for ink in a newspaper. The only places you notice are the places where there is none. But you can look at anyone else, open your mind in the most tactile sense of the phrase, and interpret the sheer audacity in how she ties her shoes, or the benevolence in how he answers his cell phone. But also, you start to notice how his middle fingernail is just slightly longer than his ring fingernail, and how the third button on her jacket is undone, and she has not even the slightest inkling. You start to notice the chairs with one rickety leg and the singular burnout bulb on the Christmas tree, because in order for a human to fall in love, first he must fall. To appreciate all the sincerity around you, you must also be tormented by the futility. Because it is possible to be in love with every aspect of a being, but realize every apple is poisonous. Love is not left to chance, it's left to mercy. Sugar does not exist without salt, and great stories come from gruesome scars. You're so hungry for affection, you're eating bullets for dinner. You must see what she's doing to you. No one can build you up like she can, and no one can break you down like she does, but you are not her life, you are a pastime. You got drunk off the manipulation that drips from her tongue, and now you need someone to cure your hangover, but you are not cut out to be a martyr. Charlatans run this world, not you. You thought you could fall in love without falling through, and you were wrong. You thought you could die but still survive, but you can't. You shatter the porcelain of your forearm to watch the artistry pour out of your skin because you can now see the beauty in the hideous. Darkness has never appeared so stunning, and dementia has never hung so lightly in the air. But this is what you wanted, right? To find beauty in the horror? You got greedy and you got selfish. You wanted allure to coat everything around you. You tried to skinny dip in a volcano, and now you expect someone to bandage your self-inflicted stupidity. But no one has time to nurse you back to normal. You carved her name into your skin, hoping it would be permanent enough. But it's never been her job to stitch you up. This is not a lack of chivalry, and this is not her fault. This is suicide.
Yeah. You done it? Are you writing? Birdman's up. Hey. Just there shaking.
Where's your Thom?
I put it away, brother. Just still playing with it. That's
This
a good
here
idea.
is a poem I wrote when I went back home this summer,
Yeah.
and I did some videos in my hometown
Good.
in Michigan.
Yep.
And
Frozen there.
yes, it is now. And a friend of mine, he asked me, me and him was good friends, and we used to play ball in the park. He ended up being a computer nerd and a farmer now, and I ended up playing ball and being a poet.
Oh yeah.
So he told me a little bit about him that I didn't know. I did know some of it, not all of it, so I wrote this poem for him. And it's called The Candyman. Born in the project with little hope of survival, rats and roaches multiplied to their arrival. A dad who was never around to show us how to be a man. Our mother who by no choice left early, not as planned. A sister who took us in her own family, confused and lonely, not knowing how we would fit in annually. There was love and peace within her home, but with no real mother, our father, he still felt alone. Living in a small town with little hope, from dodging bullets to gangs and all the dope. We walked around with a briefcase that held his life. The few friends he had also struggled with strife. Michigan State came calling was his way to escape his past. Never looking back, he would be free at last. Now that he has grown, his mind wonders what might have been. From shit to sugar, the Candyman has came in. And this one here is this is kind of like the personal one here, and it's titled "I Will Rise." Just like the moon rise and the sun set, the tides shall rise as springing hope met. You may cast me off into history past, tell bitter twisty lies to any contrast. Toss my name in the dirt, play with my heart until it hurts. Then I still rise up like dust, not knowing who to trust. Shoot me with your words, tell me lies I've already heard. Cut me with your eyes, the tears can't be denied. No matter how hard I try, you try to kill me with your hatefulness. Smile and tell lies of unhappiness. Then I still rise up like air. Just isn't fair. Shoot me with your looks. Slam me with your hooks. Up from a past that is rooted in pain. Lies and heartache with a teardrop stain. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear into daybreak to make it clear.
Who's on the phone? Who's on the phone?
Where is it?
Yeah, where is it? Shoot that phone.
Oh, Drew is feeling bad.
Oh, yeah. You feel bad because he didn't make it. He's missing the party of the century. Drew's having fun. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, this Marshall, the Roman poet, like your stuff. Yours is better.
The quandary of being a poet sometimes is promotion, emotion, and stuff like that. One of the things that I would like to do is to become famous enough to make some money.
Real estate.
But the thing that if I do it, that whether it's Ben Franklin as a poet or anything else, is that the wealth be used to motivate the children, help feed the homeless, and do things that society should be doing. And it is so sad today that we're losing our identity to our art, the music, and the soul of America, you know. And you know, some people get upset with me when I try to self-promote myself. So it's a double-edged sword that I bear, you know. And I've been demoted all my life in the fact of being a poet, that when I step up to say something, that conservatives say, well, I'm trying to tell them how to think. When all it is to open up minds where they have their own ways to find their own individual truth. This is actually probably almost like a book. But I'm letting off some of my frustrations here. It's called Promotion, Demotion, Projections, and Rejection. Alone one wallows adrift isolation to feel free speech pangs, of venom fangs in desolation, existence in quagmire's pain. Awaiting words to start spewing forth this medicinal acid rain that permeates deep inside the fibers of an acidic slam bang. Need to compose composition in free speech projection, not as a morbid right, but what is left to question power in dire people that dictate by preaching the absolution bower, but contraire to open minds to possible solutions or rejections, where individual independent minds traverse trails less taken, in the promotion of true grit, iron wills of pure determination, not a demotion envelope that seals inside clone termination, where we are shackled sacrificial lambs, bringing home the bacon. Promotion is a razor-sharp, two-edged sword worn in creativity. When one promotes on veins of conforming conservative artist, one becomes role models accepted by the status quo non-charities. But to differ brings on this fierce demotion, retribution, negativity. Why must one stay within boundaries set up inside demigod control? When God gave us the gift to project ourselves upon written emotions, vibrating the quill poetic purpose that shares cerebral current motions, where society communicates together as diverse neighborhood soul, is the promotion of oneself, this self-gratification, egotistical prophecy, where wealth seems to be the only mitigating factor in a greed equation? Or can one use wealth to promote Christian charity, conversion to one feeding America's homeless, 1 million meals within an American dream? This is just part of it. But
Don't feel like you by yourself.
I've been slapped around so much that I'm black and blue. Or it's not black and blue.
Huh.
See you later, thanks. mom or your dad kept really good records. Wrote down every time you were scarred or fell and scraped your knee. Then when you got to college or high school or later in life, she took photographs when you got your heart broken. Then in the middle of life, when you're standing there on the brink of self-discovery, realizing the genius is in you, making its way out, when that question, why, came bubbling up in your mind, you should take all those journals down off the wall, show you the pictures, the scratches, the scrapes, the cuts. Ain't that easy. But when you stand in front of an audience and are asked to say what you stand for me it's this. Above it all, I want to be honest, just like you. I want the morning sunshine when it comes peeling over that side of the earth to reflect something more than my own hardships. I want every song that I ever play to harmonize like I do when I'm sitting there listening to poets play their song. I have no why. When I'm lucky, I have no wherefore. But something keeps you going, keeps you pushing forward to that same place that says, there is something beyond myself. I think we could all agree on that. It's that something beyond this space, beyond this hope, beyond this life, there really is a you who suffers. We may not ever see his face, but he's the one that picks us up, or she's the one, or it's the one, or it doesn't really matter what the hell you call it. But there are forces beyond our control for whom we have the greatest sympathy. Our poems go out to them. A poet without a reader is nothing. A speechifier without an audience is nothing. But it came to me today as my son was pissing me off. That the myth of Christ is backwards. And we'll have to think about Bill Cosby here for a second, because I think he got it right when he said, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. That power that is beyond all of us, whether you trust it or not doesn't really matter, but you write for it. It wasn't that somebody died to save us from our sins. It was because that force thought Jesus Christ was too much of trouble. He was causing a lot of trouble. He was saying, people follow me, be like me, love me, do what I want to do me, let me teach you my way. When the most contented man I can think of, the best teacher in the world, is the one we never, ever see. The lesson is to find it out yourself, as Ben so aptly puts it. It'd be nice if we could teach without being teachers.
I have a friend who's an artist, known her for 35 years, and she was also incidentally a poet. And she used to make things out of handmade materials. She'd make her own books, and eventually she shifted to a little island off the coast of Queensland called Kurim, known by white people as Bribey Island. Anyway, she met her second husband, and she dropped her art. So this is the story of making.
She left her art to care for him, to make sure his health was stable. She left her life's creations. Prior, she would revel in handmade books, art objects, singular astonishments made of the beaches and birds of her living Kurim. Now she is quieter, more solemn, for when he left his skin in age and aged condition, she had to administer again to the dispersal of his belongings, to the library of their common knowledge, to the curating of his world, which passed like world wars into regional conflicts. There is a flame inside all of us, for some electric, others a candle. It can be seen in the lighted eyes of beloved ones, who glow in presence when that candle is lit. Its absence makes hollow rooms and long meditations. When life ends, another life returns. We, the living, return. You have one? Okay, just have to suffer. Blue dolphin barbecue, beach whale breakfast, sacred smoking palais, legal green rainforests, extinction of vocabulary, bulldozing homeless to make way for a housing project, building better jails in Austin for warders need a sense of control, removing nomads and tribes, excising ancient memories, censoring until we can't say the C word, the F word, the N word, the P word. In fact, the whole alphabet's under quarantine. And do not dare speak about silence. Miranda's been raped. Bill of Rights stripped. Lady Liberty's a libertine, selling herself to occupying forces. Open your inner eyes. Control is a false god like shopping. There is no longer ever. Even now has been subdivided into micro, macro, and nano. False holidays where we're let out to consume more. Please, no more research studies. My demographics are private. You can buy my data from NSA, TSA, CIA, and FBI. They also supply me my fashionable prejudices. Now, about that dolphin and a can of tuna for breakfast. Hey. I'll keep going. Okay. Ready? You gotta be quick, huh? Way too long, man.
I had to get my
machine together.
Yeah, my toy together.
Yeah, man. That's my toy. Horace.
Yes. This poem I'm gonna read is dedicated to a friend of mine. I used to be a HIV counselor and a drug counselor.
What do you tell him?
What I tell him?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just depends on the situation. Yeah, you know, it's kind of rough, you know. Whatever their problems is, and this one here, she became a friend. Her husband and we became friends. I tried to help him to help her to get her life straightened out. And when I wrote this poem, I was over at their house talking with her, trying to get her mind together. And then she stood up and she said, "I wish somebody would write something about me."
So you did straight away.
Well,
yeah.
After I had a couple shots of Patron. And I said, "So what you want me to call it?" And she said, "Could you call it The Pieces of Rhonda?"
Okay.
And I really don't know what happened to her. I mean, I spoke to her about 2 years ago, and she had moved back home, gained like 40 pounds, so she had got off the drugs and off the streets. So this one is titled The Pieces of Rhonda. You lived your life totally out of control. Sometimes you're up and on a roll. When people do you wrong, you come back to earth. You want to cry, but what is it worth? I feel your pain because you have been a friend, but wake up and see there is a dead end. You keep going back to what has your life down. The ones you call friends are laughing like you're a clown. If you would only leave to start your life over, give up your habits to see the four-leaf clover. You are sweet but easily confused. People in and out your body so they can abuse. Maybe you have to hit rock bottom to see the vision. You can't wait on your so-called friends to provide your decisions. I'm only a friend that cares about your wealth. The road you are traveling is bad for your health.
Yeah. Was she happy with that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Would you?
Well, if I was Rhonda, I think maybe he's telling me something.
No. This one here is actually I have a video on, I don't even know if it's still there on Facebook. I think
Facebook is forever.
I think you've seen it.
Facebook is forever.
Yeah, I think you've seen it. It's called Timeless.
Dead, you can't get off it.
Because I had like I had a bunch of videos on there.
You sure did.
But this one here was done when I was out in Oakland in September.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, it's titled Timeless. An angel appeared to bring me back to this world. My words on your flesh forever laying here in a swirl. The inner light that beckons for immortalizing the soul. My life, my love, the marrow from the bones becomes the center goal. Eyes closed, mind frozen, heart lost to beat. Through a dense forest of unknown behavior, the mirror of life reflects what is pleasing to the Savior. The leaves whisper with words of courage. I walk the same old path, immortalizing what was nourished. To give everything until there was nothing left. The rain come pouring down the mountain cliff. Destiny with free will, answer to timeless. Subconsciousness. I am grateful for life and all that I love. I am grateful for the earth and the sun up above. I am grateful for my spirit and my inner being, the one I express and enjoy for this feeling.
Oh, come on, man. Faster.
Yeah.
I was spending when you before you. I just got electrocuted.
Good, shocking.
Need a little shock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just read one more stanza from the last one. In demotion, rejection, one thinks one must be the fool that one could help. When politicians have criminalized the homeless within city-wide evictions, city churches being banned from feeding the poor in righteous conviction by heartless city councils that incorporate themselves, Scrooge business reps. Anyway, I do a little venting there. I've been known to do that once in a while. Genuine, gratis, germination, gratification. Poetry levitates minds with livid word sound sensations, adrift, rhythmic, rippling, vivid pulsation, penetration. Wherein contrasting characters, cerebral verse, vibration, poets, personas, resonates aloft, dynamic demonstration. Quill aura, poet, points, power, quill aura, PowerPoint stage of celestial communication, shares elocution bearing rhyme, reverberation, inside core composition bearing blossoming beautification, in heartbeat harmony, vocals that alliterate enunciation. Poetry's profound pronunciations create literature's libation to sparkle senses in a visual vocabulary dance dissertation, wherein literature's limericks onto freedom's foundations showcases diversity's assimilation in bouquet biotransformations. The unique universe, unifiable, universal undulation of artistic arousal, accomplishment, sensing satisfaction, where peer poets navigate pure power, creative creation, sown to sear and steer the woven weave, exultant excitation, genuine gratis germination, gratification. Thank you.
People come into poetry readings and they expect people to speak poetry, and I understand that, and yet my art tends to be body language anyway. So I would like to play guitar. If anybody wants to speak, feel free.
I want to speak.
Go for it.
A lot of my religious friends, they go for quiet, silent meditation. I think meditation sucks. Let me tell you why. They think that being quiet, when
puts you in a different state of being. No way. You're in the same state of being, you're just quiet.
Right.
You have all these emotional lines and targets inside yourself, racing around inside the cage, and they never get out. I say speak. Exactly. Otherwise you've got this dervish dancing inside of you, this little anger, that little red flag burning, and your heart's going and beating, and you just can't speak to anyone else, so you go silent, numb, and dumb, and you end up with an iPhone at the end of your hands. It worries me. Even my friends rely on machines to let them down. Bottom line is, we're human. That gives us 2 hands to hold other people, 2 legs to walk away from them, 2 eyes to see through them, 2 ears to listen to their poems, endless and on. But there's more. You see, we want everyone to be fully themselves, and it takes all of us. And silence, I've said this before and I'll say it again, repetition doesn't work. I'll say that again, repetition doesn't work. But silence is a language like everything else. There's a silence of hesitation. There's an angry silence, a peremptory silence. The silence where you think you're meditating, but you're actually distracted. You're looking at the little machine. The machine is telling you something that is not inside you, something you need to do to talk to someone else and not hear you, you know that. I saw 2 people walking down the street on their little texting machines, not talking to each other. I was told at Taco Maria's, where we are on Tuesday, they have music there, and the band plays and everyone ignores them. They're all doing the texting thing. The little universe. Now, the beautiful thing about poetry is that at least we get a degree of actual relationship happening. It's a conversation in verse. So I trust that although speech, of course, can have demagogues, can have dictators and politicians and abuse of language. But I like what the Russian poet said. My friends, we must restore to words their original meaning.
Tightening the bond. Power transforms into cyclic life. Electrical source transforms into outlets, supplying amperage to voltage devices. Life has many transformers, wherein God supplies the nucleus, where we have to tighten the bond, that within poetic heartbeats things will weather over abrasive time. Where connections become loose, that we must take the time within us by tightening the bond. That in prayers we are tightening the bond. That in faith we are tightening the bond. That in compassion we are tightening the bond. That in universal love we are tightening the bond. That in our poetry we are tightening the bond. Where a poet's words do transform within poetry's creative transformation. Upon transformational grammar literature, bearing transition, bonding, composition, that in our poetry we are tightening the bond. Poet, tightening the bond. Thank you.
I found one.
Well done.
I come from El Paso. I just put those. Those mornings in El Paso, crisp as if the dew only rain taps, swept the city clean. Soft cool breeze awakening joints, caressing the most untouched aura of feet. Bites and trees awake before anyone else. Mountains stay standing still and borders remain quiet. Before sun they cross both paths, translucent their line. Everyone, you can imagine, slowly stabilizing their awakeness, unfolding from old age, and creating themselves for the day. Cats stretch open their small bodies, and dogs wait for food, while children lay resting, as sleep seduces crusty eyes, angry foreheads, mother and father, older sisters and aunties, who are all used to morning life, shake their little bones with cookies in the morning time. Lovers lie sweet as children do, allowing sleep to caress their every move, and and skin becomes one as extremities, cheeks, chins find their crevices and cracks to hide their individuality. Crisp morning, light blue tint, dew on laundry left out. Blown dry, these same sweet cool wild. Licking sides of necks and sore collarbones. Shoulders hold no tension. Sun awakens trees first so that eyes match beauty unfolding. It becomes those timeless morning moments. No one is waiting, time stands still, sense slowly rebirth. Bustling forwards of the morning, tick-tock, ready tone, cars rattle, winds as trains make their mark. Neighbors come out in PJs and dogs with leashes follow them. More than the birds can be heard. Radios in the apartment complex speed up. Cats still stretch, now dogs start to bark. The timeless moments have passed. Coffee runs out. Thinking about work as I get up to check if time still stands still. Old woman neighbor reminds me it's time to join the rest, beginning their days as she claims, "Are you spying on me?" and sits in her chair as it becomes her turn to watch the hood unfold and it's an organized mess. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Kickback.
Yeah.
Very good.
The Buddha say, right action, right intention, right occupation. And midwifery is exactly all of those, isn't it? Bring life in a natural way, in a constant manner. It's a beautiful thing, it's a harmonic thing, it's a blessed thing, particularly with Dr. God power all around the place. You know, so it's a wonderful thing you're doing. Really glad you're in Austin. And in the Chronicle this week, it has a thing, try midwifery, a great quarter page ad. Yeah, yeah. It's called You Always Will Be. For you are and will always be. Space and stardust, constellations, galaxies, should you question, your stars will fall into a garden of astrologers who will nurture your return to shining points of origin. When you most need, a bridge will appear, connecting heavens to all points of light. Intuitive maps, blank pages to the drunken, star maps touristing, busloads of curious, flashing cameras at anything that moves out of the ordinary. Suburbs will always stretch forever. Markets will always sell trinkets. Face behind your face wants to be recognized. Kachina dancing, shuffle in space dust. Moon plucked we chew, apple creation, digest sadness, distance, ask only astronauts to lunch, imputing wisdom to voyagers. You know where you came from, but not where you are going. That is why this present moment, crossroads, midnight, a moon, your spirit has no price tag. You are more than an artifact.
Response.
Woe is the barber's quilt. Upon the midnight verse quilt, feathered moonlight did chill. The celestial tide moving time, rippling a light mind sensing rhyme. Spread thy phoenix ashes adrift blossoms rain. Upon reverberation vibrating Shakespearean veins. In dancing alliteration to compose composition. Upon cerebral ceiling bearing celestial germination. Woe is the barb that pricks the thorn forewarned, in melancholy naysayers that creep shadows forlorn, to nail open quivers in quicksilver black bile gloom, seeking grave weather dank upon cemetery doom. Sear the universal ever-seeing eye of eternal gravity, navigating the depressions reigning in the hell's depravity, where the scarlet letter rose weeps forlorn, forevermore alone, scarred skeletal scarecrow frame that shivers to be mown. Woe is me, woe is me, judged guilty within pure innocence, in a world where lambs must follow.
Yeah, Birdman.
Yeah. Okay. This poem here is titled She. I actually got a plaque for this poem. I entered in I don't even remember, a couple of years ago. They sent me a plaque. And
Every phone needs a plaque, right?
yes. She leaned over to kiss him, getting close.